Hi everybody. In this video, I'm going to talk about the collar roll. I'm going to put a video up in the cards right now talking about how to lower a collar. And in that video, someone asked me about what to do about the same alteration but over the shoulder. I guess it's called a shoulder collar roll or something like that. I've never done it. So this is going to be kind of an exploratory type video. I bought this jacket for another purpose, but since I have it, we're just going to work on this alteration, see what's up with that. So in the other video, I talked about, like, when you're wearing your jacket, if you have this little bubble here, you pinch it, you mark it, and then you measure between the marks, because you mark it at the top and at the bottom, and you measure what that distance is, and then you come down from the back of your collar down, mark it, and that's going to be where you raise your jacket back up underneath the collar. And if it's just a small amount, you won't need to trim it away, but sometimes you do. So this person's asking about what happens if it happens here over on the shoulder. So I'm just going to open it up and basically do the same thing with the alteration that I did before. So say I measure out 1/4 of an inch that needs to be taken up. I'm just going to leave my pin here, 1/4 inch or so, not exactly. So I will begin to take out the threads here. I'm sorry if my camera is moving. It's a whole new setup since I moved across the country. So I don't have my house set up, and I don't have a place to put my camera except for attached to my rickety little table or my phone, whatever. So in my video on how to lower your collar, that's what they call it where I was working, where I was taught to do this. Basically, it's to get rid of that lump in the back of your jacket when you wear it. We always stopped at the shoulder seam. I've never opened up the shoulder, so this is going to be a surprise for me. Maybe. I figure if I can do the back, I can probably do the side. Now, the only problem is when I moved, I sold everything. I sold my body forms, my dress forms. I sold a lot of my stuff. So I'm working with bare bones, no model, and no dress forms. Okay, so everything appears to be about the same as the center back. So we're just going to take this up. I'm going to move the collar down to where the pin is. Move the pin up to hold the collar stand down, right, the new place. And then we're going to make our way around. And if there's a bubble here, you will also have to move that up according to how big the bubble is. So if you pinch it out, it's 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch, you're going to mark it, and then you're going to bring your collar down to that point. So up to this point, it doesn't look like it's going to be a whole lot different. Now, if there's a huge difference, you might need to do something else. At this point, I don't know what that is. Now, there's a notch right where this seam is. So I'm assuming, because you see how there's like a little pucker here, I'm assuming that we can work that into the stitches, because it's not too much. But if it had to be taken up a lot up to this point, I wouldn't know how to resolve that. I've just never done it. Maybe someday I will. So if this needs to be, if you're dealing with a shoulder collar roll, I think that's what it's called, you would take it out from a little beyond the shoulder seam all across the back, and then past this area. Move it down to where you need it, and then try to work those in. I am going to take this, my stitching, and go across and see if I can work in that fullness. Now, if you want to try this on your own jacket, really it is not that big of a deal. If you lower the collar, remove that roll that's on your shoulders and across the back, and it doesn't lay properly, then you can actually take it back, or even do less, take up less than it really needs, and see if that settles it. But like I said, I've never actually done this alteration myself. I bought this jacket for an exploratory video on how a man's jacket is made. So I lowered it. You see a little bit of fullness here. I'm just going to try and work it in and see what happens, because it's better for me to try something and not have anything to lose than if you tried it and feel like you might have messed up your jacket. Okay, I finished sewing it up, and no, I did not start with a knot, and I don't end with a knot. Usually 3 or 4 stitches in the same spot will be sufficient to hold it. Some people are passionate about knots, and some people are passionate about not using knots. So do what you feel is best for you. And I know it was difficult to see the stitching from the camera, but you can see here there's some fullness here. Now, I don't have anybody to try it on, but basically what I did here, I just carried it over this side. As I'm sewing, I'm remembering what I was taught, although I've never had to do it because I've never had to work the collar over here. But when there is a fullness, you can reach in and you can take the top of the center seam and take it in just a little bit. 1/8 of an inch will probably be enough, and then you could avoid any fullness here. But don't be afraid to try it. Try it on. If it doesn't work, you can easily undo it and put it back, or even take up that center seam a little bit to take up some of that fullness. So because it was hard to see the stitching, hold tight, and I will get some light fabric to show you the kind of stitch that I used. Okay, this is just a scrap piece of fabric that was left over from when my grandson and I were making scrolls out of sticks and fabric the other day. So it may not be the cleanest looking fabric, but it'll work. So I've got 2 stitches in, 3 stitches in, and that's not coming out. Okay, so all I did was pick up a few threads here. And honestly, I'm not sure what this is called. I want to call it the herringbone, but I'm not sure. And you cross over. And I think it's actually supposed to be a little wider, but I like to keep mine closer. So the area up here where my thumb is, that would be the collar, and this would be the jacket. And this is to basically keep the edge of that collar right here encased in the threads. So they're like little X's. I'm not the greatest at this, and especially at this angle, but you get the idea. Now I'm going to show you how I've seen it done before. I think I have a video on this somewhere on the channel. But the way I've seen it was, it's really much wider, the X's are, but I prefer them closer to the edge. And if you're not happy with the stitches, you know what? You can just spend time practicing. I used to do that with my other stitches. Just have a strip of fabric, and while I'm watching TV, I would just practice my hand stitching. So basically, that's all I did to sew the collar back down. I hope you guys like this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing to my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.